Good afternoon and welcome to the Embedded Executive Podcast. My name is Rich Nice. I am the Executive Vice President of Open Systems Media. I lead the embedded IoT teams for embedded computing design. This week, my guest is Franz Sinteleme, and he is the President and CEO of LedderTech. How you doing, Franz?
I'm good, Rich. How are you?
I'm just fine. Actually, I think I'm a little under the weather. I feel fine, but I don't sound like myself. But I feel fine. So hopefully we can get through this without any problems. Um, just to get us started, would you give me the 30-second on what LedderTech does? I want to make sure the audience is familiar with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. LedderTech, is an automotive software company. We develop AI-based sensor fusion and perception software that helps the car to better understand its environment, really identify and classify the types of obstacles that are around its environment, and to make better driving decisions. So this software uses really state-of-the-art artificial intelligence that really allows us to recreate the environment in roughly 30 times per second, and then creating an environment where the vehicle can adequately make driving decisions such as steering, acceleration, or even braking or emergency parking, for example.
So are you talking about a completely autonomous vehicle?
No, actually, most cars today have some sort of driver warning, driver awareness systems in them. And in the future, the next generation cars will have, things like lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, and to be able to do these well in any weather, in any conditions, and on any road, you need state-of-the-art software. And so the software we make allows the industry to get into these safety and convenience applications at much lower cost and at higher performance.
Okay. Are you CPU specific? Because it sounds like you need a lot of compute power to do what you're doing.
Yeah, you need compute power, but we are agnostic. We're hardware agnostic. Our software can operate on any processor. Today, we are working with ARM, which is the market leader for core processing units. And then on the SoC side, we work with Texas Instruments. We work with companies like Horizon Robotics or Black Sesame in the Chinese market. But for mainstream, it's really ARM core systems. And one of the things that makes us quite unique is we're also sensor agnostic. So we don't care whether that's camera based or radar or LiDAR. And we also have a particular capability that's unique, is that we don't need, of course, we need compute power, but we don't need your 100 tops types of processing units. At the entry level, our software works on a TI TDA4 8 tops, for example. And at the premium level, 40 tops is about the max that we would need. That's like, half of what the industry needs today. So our software is quite efficient.
So where are the automakers with this? Are they ready for this technology? Are they saying, well, hold on, slow down. We need to do lots more testing before we can implement this stuff? Or are they saying, come on, bring it on?
Yeah, that's a great question. Conceptually, all car manufacturers are ready for this kind of AI-based software. That being said, are they ready to deploy? No, the capabilities aren't there. Not every OEM and not every tier one supplier has the same capabilities. Since it's so new and the expertise is so unique, very few OEMs have the capabilities to develop these systems themselves. So what we provide is basically a middle layer that allows them to build the application on top of it. And for them to build the application, they need to have expertise in ADAS, not just integrating the black box systems, but really building ADAS features that they can then update over the air over the lifetime of the vehicle. So that's going to take a few years before the industry is fully ready. But as far as adoption-wise, the industry recognizes that they need this AI-based fusion and perception software. So we think that we're just on the cusp of this major breakthrough in the industry.
What about the infrastructure? Is that in place? I mean, for a lot of these things, you need smart lights and smart signs, and you need 5G in lots of places. Is all that stuff in place, or is it not necessary?
It's not necessary today. So what is necessary is for basically the car manufacturers to, now that regulation is mandating these types of systems to become de facto or factory enabled, car manufacturers are now in the phase of deploying. So it's not a major change in what they have to do, but the architecture needed is completely new. And so as a result, we think that the infrastructure is there already. Now, what you're referring to is, can we make all roads much safer by having infrastructure or connectivity? 5G is going to enable a lot of things, but I do think that before we get to that point where the infrastructure is fully connected everywhere, where you have standards, standard communication protocols, we're still a few years away from that.
Okay. And what about in different geographies? I know you said that we're still a few years away. You're referring to the US, you're referring to North America. What's it like here versus Europe versus Asia and other regions?
Right. So clearly, the fastest adopters of ADA, advanced driving as well as automated driving technologies are definitely China. China is moving at a different clock speed. Their governments are very proactive in enacting and creating, actually having cities that are spoken for autonomous driving, highways that are spoken for automated driving. They're financing or subsidizing many of their companies and technology providers there. And then companies themselves, OEMs and tier ones, are very much willing to take more risks and start much earlier. So you can go from having no automated vehicle to a car in 2 years there. This is not the case in Europe or in the Americas. I think traditional car manufacturers are on the fence. They have to invest on many fronts, between EV connectivity, to call it ADAS and AD. They have many fronts, and I think it's going to be, let's say Europe is probably more advanced than the US, and you can see it within the European Union enacting the General Safety Regulation already, July 2022, where NHTSA is following suit with a 2029 mandate. So over the next couple of years, car manufacturers in the European Union are basically accelerating their developments to get safer vehicles on the road because it's mandated. So I think if I had to pick an order, that's China first, then European countries, and then, of course, the Americas. Now, Japan, Korea, the indigenous markets are very small, but of course, their influence on the global automotive scene is quite big, since they're such big exporters. And so they too are adopting at the same clock speed as Europe.
Are any of those big guys working in China to expedite their own processes? Your traditional guys that are either in Japan or in Germany or in the United States, or is China saying, no, 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 we're just doing this ourselves and you're out?
So there's a number of things. First of all, depending who you talk to, there's about 3 dozen type of automotive companies in China. And some people think that they could be as high as 60 car manufacturers, indigenous. So they're all, most of them, for the most part, are not making any money. They're all mostly subsidized by the government, and eventually there will be casualties, and they will be also forced to merge with each other. That's typical of the Chinese government. That being said, the geopolitical situation in China is such that you need to have local partnerships. So car manufacturers are having partnerships. So like, for example, Stellantis and Leapmotor. So Leapmotor is building the Stellantis cars in China, and then Stellantis is building the Leapmotor cars in Europe. So you're starting to see these types of collaborations happening. And I think this is the case where people are trying to circumvent the geopolitical situation. Clearly, when you have companies like NIO, for example, or XPeng, who can sell a super fast, super fancy supercar for $30,000, 30,000 euros, sorry, and then next quarter to announce that they can give you a 5,000 euros discount, I mean, it's not sustainable. No one can compete there. And so there's an underlying threat where European car manufacturers are trying to figure out, is there a better way to do this? Are there systems and platforms that they can build and that can allow them to be more efficient? Software is the approach. And that's where they can gain an edge over the Chinese competitors.
Well, I certainly don't want to turn this into a political discussion, but you could probably make that same argument with almost any product category, when you're dealing with the different countries and when the governments get involved. But anyway, okay. So one last thing, let's look into your crystal ball. Say we're having this discussion 2 years from now. What's the mainstream 2 years from now?
Well, 2 years from now, you'll see vehicles that are deploying more AI-based software. So more platforms that will be not just meeting safety requirements, but also that will offer features and functionalities that consumers are used to using their smartphones or their smart computers. So your car is going to become more sophisticated, more connected to your everyday life, and we're going to start to see those. There are already software-defined vehicles already on the market in China, where we expect the next couple of years to be the case here in the US and also in Europe. As for LedderTech, we expect our software to be adopted by several car manufacturers over the next couple of years for vehicles that will be in production in 2027, 28. And we think that's going to be really the start of a different journey in the industry, because this type of software, once you've embedded into the vehicle, it really changes the way people interact with their cars.
So 2 years from now, I'm driving down the highway. Am I going to see somebody behind the wheel in every car?
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you may have pockets of autonomy. So some use cases like for trucking or some automated, call it taxis or robo-taxis. I think Tesla is still a wild card, but I still don't feel that the technology is there. So we still have to get full autonomy on any road. You still have a few, at least the 10 to 15 more years. We need a vehicle today, you need to have your hands on the steering wheel. So,
but they told me 10 years ago it was 10 years out.
Well, I think people are realizing that the challenge is far more sophisticated and anticipated. It's not just a technology problem. It's technology at low cost that is reliable and that can work and that car manufacturers can make money off. Today, we're not there.
Okay. I will look you up in 10 years and we'll see where we stand.
Indeed.
Thank you very much, Franz. It was very nice to speak to you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for having me.
That was Franz Santeleme. He is the president and CEO of LedderTech, and I am Rich Nass with Open Systems Media.